a lot about the interpretations and motivations of the different actors, but just on the facts, I think it's slightly inaccurate to say that the executive board of the International Monetary Fund was divided on the first Greek program. Others in the room probably know better than I do, but some executive directors, one in particular, expressed misgivings about the program publicly, but the board had no opposition.
I just want to say that in respect to that, I was reading from a document entitled Office Memorandum Subject Board Meeting on Greece's Request for an SPA, May 9th, 2010. And while it is true that the board voted unanimously, the comments and reservations of a number of executive directors are noted explicitly in the text. So that this includes the Chinese, the Swiss, the Australians, and others, as well as the reservations made by the staff. So it's very clear in the record that this was not this was a decision in which the fund itself internally did not have confidence, not have full confidence.
I think there are many misgivings, justified misgivings about the process that led to this discussion, and can agree on that, but that's not the way to describe it in your initial speech.
Sorry, I'd like to set the record straight. I've spent 25 years in institution. That's pretty standard procedure with this fund. There's always an internal live debate when you go to the board, and very much the culture is consensus. I can recall in 25 years only one situation in which one member country voted against a particular program. So what you're reading is absolutely standard, internal, lively, and had discussion. So I wouldn't really read much more than what it is.
Anatole.
Yeah. I'd like to come back to the debt issue. You said in your presentation that the main objective in the 5 months of the Varoufakis finance ministry was not really about negotiating, that the main constraint on the economy was not really the level of debt. It was the primary surplus that was being demanded by the IMF and so on. But as I recall, one of the most important demands, if not the most important demand, the most prominent demand that the Greek government was making was that the debt had to be renegotiated yet again and significantly written down. Now, if actually the current payments on the debt were not the main constraint, why did the Greek government put so much stress on this idea of writing down debt, given that it wasn't the main factor in the month-to-month cash flow?
Well, the finance ministry had initially, as I say, to get past a February 28th deadline, and this was under, of course, very volatile political conditions in Greece, as well as in the negotiating setting. Toward the end of February, February 22nd, I believe, there was a provisional agreement which opened up a 4-month window that was to discuss policy terms. As I say, during that window, the principal conversation was about the policy terms as I've described them. The negotiations went on at great length. It's fair to say that I think it's fair to say that the teams from the Troika had instructions, which were not instructions to negotiate, but rather to proceed through an agenda. They were conducting a review, effectively, and reporting to their superiors. The Greeks were attempting to get a change in the terms, but the object on the other side was to pocket a concession, then ask for another one. And that process basically ate up the 4-month period. So it was not the case, there was not a discussion over the terms of a debt restructuring program because it was not on the agenda at that level. We attempted to place it on the agenda. I should say, Yanis attempted to place it on the agenda in a face-to-face meeting with Finance Minister Schäuble, which I attended on the 8th of June in Berlin. When we had the idea at that point was, okay, let's get the IMF out of this and just do this through the ESM. We can negotiate the terms more effectively inside the European community. Schäuble at that point was not prepared to make any move that might strengthen the Greek position at all. And so that also came effectively to nothing. So, as I say, the actual preoccupation during the 5 months was with the policy terms and not so much with the debt. And it was with the policy terms because they were trying to meet deadlines on cash disbursements.
But my question was, why was Yanis Varoufakis so eager to put the issue of the face value of debt onto the political agenda?
Well, it was going to have to be dealt with at some point. You had a restructuring of the debt in which the payments were deferred largely till 2022, and then there was a cliff. And that would have to be dealt with at some point, but I don't think we were under any illusions about the order in which things, you had to deal with short-term cash flow and the draining of reserves, and you had to deal with the policy terms for getting an extension at June 30th. And if you got through that, then you come into 2016-17, the cash situation would improve because you didn't have the burden of these cliffs of major payments that had to be made. That was the hope, and then you could take up that in detail at a later time. But obviously, you prepared the ground for it by including it in what you spoke about.
Thank you very much.